Welcome back to Steeler Thoughts and Chief Feelings. This is episode 24 now. I am your co-host, Chris, and I'm the philosophy professor and Steelers fan in the group.
And I'm your other co-host, Ajay, and I am the psychiatrist and Chiefs fan in the group. Thanks to all of you that follow along. Actually, I should make mention specifically this past week has been by far our most watched week on YouTube, at least. So thanks for everyone following along. I don't even know what the numbers are at this point, but it's like we've gotten something like, currently it's telling me people have watched the Chiefs Saints review for a total of 333 hours in the last week. So thanks to all of you that are watching.
Wow, that's
and
awesome.
yeah, it's like I don't know where it came from, because I think our most watched video before this was watched for a total of like 58 hours. So so those of you that have found us or that are interested in watching, thank you so much. We are also the podcast version. The audio is available wherever you download podcasts, and we try to get that out once a week. And we are on social media at STCF715 on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. And with that, I will get to our comment of the week, which comes from TikTok this week. I mean, I don't know if this is appropriate, but you know what? I'm making the executive decision to read it out, and if there are problems with it, you can blame me. So Ben Booty 66, who is wearing a Myles Garrett jersey in his profile on TikTok, he replied to a post I had about a Justin Fields throw against the Colts, where he kind of beat cover 2 on the run, throwing a deep pass to Pickens. And he said, "I hate the Steelers, but love Fields." And he got a reply from someone whose TikTok handle name is just a symbol, so I don't know how to pronounce that. But his response was, "I hate the Browns, but love my massage therapist." So that that is the comment of the week.
I don't know what to make of that. Yeah. I thought originally that the PG or like the iffy part of this was going to be the name of the first commenter, Ben Booty or something. Is it Booty? But no, it went harder than that.
Well, and I would love to hear a philosopher's breakdown of the logic structure here. Like, I hate the Steelers but love Fields, and then I hate the Browns but love my massage there. I'm not sure that I really follow the logic structure he's trying to use, but
yeah, is there an argument there? I don't know. There's a parallelism of form, right? I don't know what to make of that, though. I mean, I feel like you need like a literary analyst or something to figure out what's going on here. I don't know if a philosopher is cut out for it. That's high level stuff, whatever it was.
Yeah,
nice work.
very.
So the Chiefs didn't play this week. Still undefeated, and Steelers did play this week, but we have definitely been defeated.
I will say you have not been defeated by the AFC West, which is fantastic. You've mowed your way through the AFC West, which was very helpful.
Yeah, our pleasure. Thank you for the help. Well, not to you particularly, but I guess we're helping you as well. So. I guess we could talk. I mean, maybe before we get, because the Steelers have played more recently, do you want to say anything about the Chiefs game last week?
Admittedly, I have not thought about it in a little while, but I felt like overall, just as a brief summation, I know the final score I think was 26-13. To me, it was not as close as the score made it seem, although the Chiefs tried to make it close by Juju Smith-Schuster had a drop in the end zone that resulted in an interception, which is an all too familiar sight for Chiefs fans. But Chiefs fans couldn't be too mad about it because it was Colin Saunders, the former Chief darling, who intercepted the pass and ran it back. We played well. I think the offense played really well. At least it was our best offensive performance since the first half against the Ravens, I thought. got to finish drives in the end zone. The Chiefs really struggled with that, but that's been an ongoing up and down problem for the Chiefs over, even when we've been good, like offensively under Mahomes, we've had stretches where we struggle. Mahomes is still having some trouble trusting his protection. Sometimes that's warranted, sometimes it's not. And
it seemed like he was a lot better in this game, though, like in terms of just efficiency and numbers.
Yeah, he was definitely better in this game, but there were plays on the field to be made, and I think some of those being missed were. I don't think it was all. So there's a bit of a narrative going on with the Chiefs, which is that like Mahomes keeps missing Worthy deep, for example. And I don't think that's necessarily true. I think that there are times that Worthy is open deep and doesn't get the ball thrown to him. But I think too much of that is being put on like Mahomes just not noticing what he should be doing. I think some of the times it's because the protection doesn't hold up for Mahomes to make a throw. I think the majority of the time, actually, is because clearly the read structure of the play is not Worthy being in the first read, and he finds someone to throw to before he gets to Worthy in his progression. I think that, to me, is the number one cause. Number two being protection. And every once in a while, Mahomes doesn't throw it to Worthy when he possibly should, but it's not like those plays result in negatives. A couple times he scrambled for first downs instead of throwing it to Worthy, for example. And so Seth Kaiser, who has a Substack called The Chief in the North, had a very nice breakdown of Worthy and basically saying that he wants the Chiefs offense to be redesigned now to make Worthy's deep shots to Worthy have more first reads in the offense. And I think that makes sense. You know, the Chiefs haven't really been looking for deep shots at the beginning of plays since teams started going hard cover 2 in 2021. And since teams kind of have started pressing our receivers more, last year we couldn't take deep shots because our receivers weren't reliable. But this year with Worthy, it seems like we have like a true great deep threat that's developing. So it would be nice if we were able to kind of change play structure a little bit to start looking for the deep shot early. And I think we'll start hitting more of them.
Yeah, so you get people not complaining that Mahomes is missing him, and if he's actually just earlier in the read progression. Yeah, makes sense. Well, yeah, I mean, I thought they looked, I don't know, maybe to my untrained eye, they looked like they were in sort of, you know, regular Chiefs offense form, which is, you know, better than last year, basically. But I don't know. I guess there's a question about receiver now because some things have happened on the wide receiver trade market, and I don't know if you expect them to make a move there at this point. I mean, Amari Cooper, I think, just went to the Bills today, and Devontae Adams is going to the Jets. Not that you ever thought those were really on the table to begin with, but do you have any thoughts about what they might do at wide receiver?
Yeah, to me, I always felt like it would be a kind of bottom of the roster move, if any at all. Like, I think that they think that signing Jody Fortson before the Saints game was a move, even though he's like an extra tight end. I don't think Andy Reid has a problem going with 3-4 tight ends. We had 4 tight ends on the field once or twice against the Saints. And I think that's where they'll be focusing, in my opinion, on developing Xavier Worthy and developing the third tight end, Jared Wiley, into reasonable threats. And if someone comes available, like the equivalent of like when we picked up Nicole Hardman last year for a 6th-round pick, it would be something like that. I honestly don't even have a name in mind. The best receiver that I thought was a possibility, like even though it was remote, was Amari Cooper. I thought like maybe if it worked out, they could have done that. But I don't know. I can't think of anybody that's coming available or that's around that the Chiefs would invest any like real capital into right now.
Yeah. I mean, we're in the same boat in terms of thinking about the wide receiver market right now, and ideally having a new, signing someone new. But again, I don't know who to even hope for the Steelers at this point. So I think we're just going to have to make do with what we've got.
I think if this were a year later, one could talk about something like Deontay Johnson. I know the Chiefs really liked him, but like the Panthers like him too and just traded for him. So I don't think they're going to be giving him up for, and the Chiefs, when they do give up an asset, it's like for someone who's a distressed asset that they think they can really put something into and make excellent. And the example is Kadarius Toney. Like they give up a 3rd round pick and they thought they were going to get like 1st round pick Kadarius Toney. That didn't end up working out, but that's the kind of swing that they take. They're not going to try to go after like a Devontae Adams or something. You know, that's not really their MO.
Yeah. I don't, while we're talking about it, I don't think the Steelers are going to go after Deontay Johnson. But I do, I mean, I am revisiting my thoughts about that trade. I feel like we've had, like, Dante Jackson has really panned out for us so far. I mean, a lot of his picks have been very easy because the defensive line or the quarterback has just done something stupid. But he's had some game-changing plays for us already this year. So it doesn't look as dumb as it did in the offseason. So anyway, that's some Steelers stuff there. Anything big news for the news-wise for the Chiefs in the bye week here?
They kind of confirmed that the hope that Rashee Rice could potentially come back by like the playoffs or Super Bowl is not true, and that he's gonna kind of, even though he didn't tear his ACL, his recovery timeline is going to mirror that of an ACL. So we're kind of hoping to have him back by the beginning of next season.
Do you need surgery?
Yeah. He already had surgery to repair his LCL, and they said his posterior lateral corner, which, to be honest with you, having gone to medical school, I don't know what that is. So I will need to get some advice from some orthopedics friends on like, what are we talking about here? Because initially when they said... Yeah, they were abbreviating it PLC, and I initially thought they were just mistyping PCL. And then I saw that Andy Reid said posterior lateral corner, and I was like, we are beyond my, like, posterior lateral corner of what? Like, I don't know. Maybe this, I've never seen this term thrown around either from like the football side or from the medical school side. So this must be something somewhat esoteric that I don't know anything about.
I wonder if the corner is like a piece of the leg or something like that. It's not like the corner of something. It's just the corner. Like, there's your corner. I don't know, but that is strange. Well, whatever that is, I'm glad it was repaired. Good. Anything else, Chiefs? I mean, we can. I don't want to talk all Steelers today. Anything else that you wanted to hit on the Chiefs?
Not a ton. I'm hoping that the Chiefs' schedule, you know, we really are looking at hopefully the schedule lightening up a little bit. Well, it starts with playing at the 49ers, but hopefully then the Chiefs can kind of, this time period to me, well, I will say one thing. This will be a really good sense for the Chiefs of whether they are going to make that kind of transition to going to Worthy as a primary option, because we've now had the bye week and we're a week out of like not having Rashee Rice. So, you know, we had to prepare for the Saints game. We had a little extra time because it was a Monday night game, but now the bye week is usually, for us, it's usually later in the year. This is a rare time. We've had an early bye week, but it's usually when Andy Reid like puts in a new install to kind of adjust based on how the team has been doing and what players' strengths appear to be this year. So I will be interested to see if the offensive philosophy looks a little bit different. And I don't know how much truth there is to this, but it does seem like, at least people say, that Andy Reid tends to unload a little more of the game plan when playing NFC opponents because he's not as worried about necessarily seeing them again in the playoffs. So it'll be interesting to see. When we've played the 49ers in the past in the regular season, we've had some fire. Like, we blew them out 2 years ago in San Francisco. So I'll be interested to see what we end up doing. Yeah.
They might be an exception because you keep seeing them in the Super Bowl over and over again. So you might, even if Reid wants to unload the playbook, maybe the 49ers. Although this year, I don't know, you're right. Like, you were a little skeptical about them, and they're 3-3 right now.
3-3.
I mean, I still think they're a good team, but Okay. Well, do you want to talk some Steelers? I don't know what I can lament about a bit about the Cowboys game, but we do have a more fun game to talk about with the Raiders this week. So,
We could do, yeah. Do you just want like overall thoughts about the Cowboys game before we jump into the Raiders game?
yeah, that sounds good. I mean, I think from an aesthetic perspective, it was a masterful storyline there to have the game like the start delayed by like about an hour, and then Steelers fans have to watch until basically the last play of the game to lose the game. It was really like so. It's about 1 a.m. at that point, and you're like trying to go to bed. It's like that. Whoever came up with that idea for a story was really sadistic, but it worked out. It was nice. So yeah, I mean that was it was not a fun game. Somehow we were like winning it at the end there, until the very end. But I thought we were getting pushed around. Defense wasn't getting stops, and the offense wasn't doing much aside from sort of sporadically there. Again, they kind of like woke up toward the end of the game, but not soon enough. I think we got outgained by like 200 yards or something ridiculous. And, yeah, it was just like, you know, not a lot went. It should have been a blowout. Really, Dallas should have really routed us there, but the defense got some timely turnovers in the red zone and stopped a couple drives that way. But so the score looked respectable, but honestly, like it was not that respectable for performance overall. I didn't think. So I don't know. That was a tough one. I had hoped that maybe coming back home after the Colts game would give our offense a spark, and definitely didn't. And honestly, after the last real 2 weeks now, it's like sort of more tepid or lukewarm. Lukewarm and tepid I use very interchangeably, and I don't know if I should, but I'm less enthusiastic about Fields, at least as the starter. I still could see the advantages, but I don't think the last two games have been very good for him. So that's a concern. And what else to say about the Cowboys game? I mean, the Cowboys just got shellacked this week too, which doesn't like do anything to make me, spin that loss in a better light or anything. The Lions just destroyed them, so I don't know. That's not a fun game to watch the tape on, I imagine. But
Well, weirdly with the Cowboys, they just seem to get shellacked at home. I don't know what to make of that. Like they've played like okay on the road this year, and they just got blown out repeatedly at home.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if you think that there is something going on there, then you can you can spin that loss in a better light. I don't know though. I think that's losing that badly. Oh, what was it? The score this week? 40 something to 9.
I think it was 44-9 or 47-9. Yeah, it's not good.
No.
I will say, like going back and watching the tape of the Steelers Cowboys game. So full disclosure, this game, because of the delay and everything, this is the first time I have fallen asleep in the middle of a football game in a long time. But I remember the Steelers' first touchdown, and then I woke up like as the Cowboys were in goal to go, like trying to win the game. Like, so I slept through more than a full quarter of the game, maybe longer.
It's been a good transition for you. It's like the Steelers they've got this, and then suddenly defending the goal line for the win or the loss.
And
did you see the Landon Roberts play with the forced fumble?
Did I see it live? It's blending together because I watched it on tape so many times. But
yeah. I mean, that was an awesome play.
Yeah, I don't think I saw it. Yeah, when they recovered. Yeah, you're talking about on the last drive, right?
Yeah, it was like right at the goal line there, maybe second down.
No. I think I came on third down. Yeah, I saw it I watched the tape, but I didn't see that one live. I literally woke up for the end of the game, like the very end.
Yeah. I mean, that was a cool play. Like that, we could have, like even despite how much we got like pushed around in that game, we could have won it just by recovering that fumble there.
Well, there were 3 plays to me that, watching the tape, that was one of them. One was a third down pass to Ferguson earlier on that drive. I think it was 3rd and 7 or something. And Dante Jackson, just for whatever reason, like, Minka sees what's happening, that they're throwing. They basically throw to the left, and it's like a short hitch route, maybe for like 3 or 4 yards to Ferguson. And Dante Jackson just does not react to it fast enough to make a play on the ball. And he's got help with Fitzpatrick on the inside. And for whatever reason, he decides to try to make a play on the ball anyway, even though there's no possibility. And he tries to come inside and swat at the ball and misses. And then there's no one outside of Ferguson, who just turns it outside and is able to run for a first down. It was like, to me, it was like a cardinal sin on 2 levels. One was that if you can't make a play on the ball, just break down and make the tackle. And your help is inside, and you decided to go inside also. And so both, because Minka was really flying in there. So they could have stopped him for a 3-yard gain, and suddenly the Cowboys have to contend with like 4th and 4. And instead it was an easy first down. And then I actually think, like, I forget who was running with Jalen Tolbert on the touchdown to end it. I think it was Deshaun Elliott.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And Deshaun Elliott actually did a great job closing. Like, that was a tight window throw. But on that mesh concept, Beanie Bishop realized a little bit late that he should fall off and go toward Tolbert, like stay. And if he had seen that early, I don't think Dak can make that throw. And that's a big ask. It's not like that's a quote unquote mistake, but that's like the difference between, playing a B+ game and an A+ game, and it's just like, if he had fallen off right there. So there were a couple plays where it's just like, man, the Cowboys had a lot of things go right on that last drive to ultimately win. And so to me, that's encouraging. I mean, it's one of those situations where it's like, they had to be really on to win that game, and things still had to bounce their way, and it was tough. That was a tough rewatch, because I watched it from the standpoint of like, oh, could have won the game here. Oh, could have won the game here. Oh, could have won the game here. Yeah, that was tough.
Yeah, you mentioned Beanie Bishop. I mean, I feel like he's been involved in a number of like, I don't know how bad that was. You're saying the B+ versus A+ kind of grade, but like, he's been involved in a number of sort of miscues, I think, and he is like, he was going in. We talked about the slot corner was sort of, we don't know who it's going to be, whoever shows up. Same thing that the Chiefs were saying about their corner too, right? And so I think, yeah, I mean, I guess you expect a bit of struggles or a learning curve there, and so you live with it, but those are the consequences, I guess.
Yeah. But to go on to the Raiders game, what does it feel like to score 30 points?
Yeah, I forgot what it feels like to score 30 points.
Who would have picked that the Steelers would score 30 before the Chiefs did this season?
Well, that is surprising. But like, to be fair, like, the offense didn't do a ton here. I mean, look at the number, but I don't even think, if we outgained the Raiders, it wasn't by a lot. 293 to 275. That's a great 293 yards and scoring 32 points. That is amazing yardage to points ratio.
Yeah.
The defense really, they got 3 turnovers, and I think they really, made this better than it was going to be. I don't think it was closer than that score seems to suggest. And these were more evenly matched teams. But I guess that's the like interesting thing, or at least one of the many interesting things about the NFL, right? That you can have 2 teams that are sort of fairly evenly matched. If you imagine playing them against other teams, and yet when you play them against each other, one just has just the right advantages and the right phases of the game to just blow them out or something. And I feel like that's kind of what happened here. I don't think we're that much better than the Raiders, to be honest. I mean, maybe I'm underrating us, but I think we're better than the Raiders. I don't think we're maybe 3 times better than the Raiders, whatever that would be. But yeah, I don't know. It was fun to score 32 points. That's for sure. And it also makes it hard. I mean, Fields, I think, struggled in this game, at least with some of his passing. Again, we didn't ask him to do a ton. This was more like, I thought, like the Atlanta game or the Denver game, in terms of what we asked him to do passing wise. But I think like, he attempted like 24 passes or something like that. 14 of 24 for 140 some yards, I think. So very unremarkable passing numbers, but he has been still such a weapon in the red zone, and his scrambling ability was big in this one. I think he had 50 some yards rushing. Um, so I guess the long story short there is I don't know what decision we ought to make about who to start at quarterback moving forward. I still think scoring 32 points makes it hard to bench Fields this week after just having a good output like that. Even though again it was a lot of it was driven by the defense and getting the turnovers and whatnot. But I do think there are receivers that are open that he's not hitting, and again, whether that's like the read structure of the play, like you're talking about with Mahomes and Worthy, or whether it's Fields not seeing things well, or even seeing them and just not, for whatever reason, wanting to force it. Maybe that's part of the gameplay. Maybe he's been told not to force anything, but I don't know. It's the kind of thing where it's a huge trade off. If you bench him for Wilson, you might get sort of better utilization of more areas of the field and finding open receivers. On the other hand, you're not going to get the running threat, and you're not going to get the red zone running threat in particular, which has really been big for us. So I don't, in some sense, I guess if it's not clear what the right answer is, it's not clear if there's a wrong answer either. So maybe either way, like we'll just. But I kind of think we'll keep riding with Fields and just see what happens until he has a really bad game. But I am curious what happens there. The other thing to emphasize about this one is Najee Harris had an awesome game. I thought this was maybe the best I've seen him look. I mean, honestly, I thought he's looked pretty good this year. The line was just not getting him space to run. But he did get space this time. And I feel like he did a couple jukes there that I am not used to seeing from him. He juked someone out of their cleats essentially, which was awesome to see. I think he like that's if he can be that kind of back for us. That's he had 100 yards on like 14 carries. You can't expect that every week. But if he can be reliably getting 4 yards a carry at least, that's going to be big for us. So it's fun to see him, get some space. Those are the good, better aspects of the offense, I guess.
Yeah, that was the thing that stood out to me most, like starting to watch clips. I'm optimistically saying I might have the Steelers review done tonight, but it may be tomorrow night. But watching some of the clips, I think it stood out like Najee Harris was setting the tone very early. He was running through tackles. He was making runs that felt like they should be 4 or 5 yard gains into 11-yard gains. Like I thought early on he was like there was a real intention to like exert his physical will in this game, and that really stood out.
Yeah, he had an early run there. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
He had an early run there, which maybe you were alluding to, where he got like hit maybe 2 yards past the line, and then it looked like he was going to be tackled for a gain of 3 or so, and then he just like busts out of that and keeps dragging people it ended up being like a 12 or 13-yard gain. Just really tough and impressive running, I thought.
Yeah, he was really into it, and I feel like, to me, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like the turning point to me in the game was some point in the second quarter when TJ Watt had a punch-out fumble forced that I think led to the first Steelers touchdown, and it just never felt like the same game after that.
And I mean, I don't know. Maybe as a Steelers fan, I was like more anxious still. I was anxious until the third quarter when Najee broke off a long touchdown run. But that made me relax a bit. But yeah, I think, I don't know. On the other side of this, like Pickens, I think is definitely having some issues. Dropped a touchdown late in the game, which probably we were just throwing to him at that point to quiet him, essentially. I think he's not. I don't think he's the happiest, and he voices his frustration in unproductive ways sometimes. But But yeah, I thought that was maybe related to just trying to get him a touchdown to make him happy with his stats or something. But he dropped it anyway, so I don't know. No one to blame but himself there.
He had another one in the first quarter that I thought Fields just threw a dime, and it was a tough catch, but that to me is the reason why I would stick with, like, the only time I feel like I would advocate for a change from Fields is if he starts turning the ball over, because I just think his ceiling, like the throws he can make in tough spots, are way better than Wilson, and I just don't think Wilson's floor is as high as people think. Like, I feel like he's just getting a lot of equity from his time in Seattle, but I just don't think he's the same quarterback anymore. Like, I watched him play in Denver for 2 years, and even though his stats looked okay, like everyone kept talking about his 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, I was never afraid of Russell Wilson in the last 2 years. Like, he just never seemed to do anything other than check down. He just didn't feel like the same quarterback. So I don't know that he actually raises the floor that much higher unless the bottom falls out for Fields and he starts turning the ball over.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. Fields hasn't had really killer turnovers very much this year. And so maybe you just, I mean, and I do think also, like, long term, there's more hope that he could, the more comfortable he gets in the offense and reading the field, he could be like the dynamic franchise quarterback. Not that we expect that, but there were flashes of that, earlier this year, I thought, against the Chargers and maybe even against the Colts, where it looked like he was really, like, putting it together. And less so this game, less so against Dallas, but at least the flashes are there. It's better to have flashes than none at all.
Well, because, like, as you kind of saw last year with Pickett, right, this defense is set up and this team is set up that you kind of need your quarterback to make, like, 4 plays. Like, and so to me, I just want the guy that can throw it into a tight window, that could run for 20 yards. Like, I don't know that you need him to do anything except be average for most of the game and just make 4 great plays. And to me, the guy who's set up to do that is Fields.
Yeah, that's right. And sometimes it can be helpful if they were earlier in the game as opposed to later, after we're already down big or something like that. But yeah, I think if the defense plays the way that we expect them to, which they didn't really do against the Colts and they didn't really do against Dallas, aside from getting those turnovers at key times, you're right that all we really need the quarterback to do is not make the big mistakes and make a few plays. And that is kind of the way we've been calling the games so far, I think. And if we can get the running game to be more reliable too, that will be helpful. But, again, the offensive line, having been injured as much as they have, I think has been an obstacle.
Yeah.
Should we take a brief break and come back and talk more? We can do more Steelers. We could look around the league maybe. And I know you went to Bills Jets, so we could talk about that. Or
yeah, we can do that. Maybe we'll start by predicting the Chiefs and Steelers games for next week, and then we can go around the league.
Sounds good. And we're back with more. So what we wanted to do was maybe go ahead and make some predictions for this coming week, and then look around the league at other games from this past week. So in the next week, so Chiefs play at San Francisco, is that right?
Yep.
And Steelers host the Jets. I think it's a Sunday night football game.
It is. So we're going to be going back to back. We'll do Chiefs for the late game and then Steelers for the night game. So I hope my family's not expecting me to do a lot on Sunday evening.
Yeah, that can be a little touchy. Well, the Chiefs game happens first. You want to predict that one first?
Sure. Well, I do think that the Chiefs tend to play well against the NFC. I think the 49ers will be very motivated. I think both teams... No, we're coming off a bye, but the 49ers are coming off a mini bye because they had the Thursday night game. Yeah. So I'm biased by the fact that we went to San Francisco and blew them out 2 years ago, but if you remember, it was actually a pretty close game until the third quarter, and then we kind of opened it. I think the Niners started like up 10-0 or something, and then it was tight, and then we blew it open in the third quarter. I feel like it's going to be kind of a nervy game. I would like to think our offense is going to move the ball better than we did in the Super Bowl last year. And because we tend to kick a lot of field goals, I think the score is going to be weird. I know last week against the Saints, I thought we'd score 25. But, I mean, we did get a weird score. We scored 26. Maybe this time I'll say 29. We're going to score 29. I was thinking
29 just now. For some reason, I'm leaning toward these weird scores recently. I don't know if there's good reason for that. Anyway, okay, so 29.
29 to, I'll go big. I'll say 29-17. I think, I don't know how that's probably misguided. I bet the Niners will probably score more than 17 points, but I don't know. They're definitely going to be up for this game for sure. But I do like us against the NFC. And I like us off a bye. We haven't had a good off a bye game in a while. I think what will happen in this game is that we will surprise them a little bit with the deep passing game because they tend to be aggressive. They're not like the old Robert Saleh, like cover 3 defenses. They tend to be a little more aggressive now. Well, they have a new defensive coordinator, so maybe I shouldn't say that. They were aggressive last year before they fired Steve Wilkes. At least they were to us in key moments. I don't know. Maybe that's not even fair. I don't know. My analysis is going all over the place. But I guess my point is I think that our offense is going to look a little different. I think Andy Reid will incorporate some deep shots early. And so I think we get up a little bit early and they're not able to use their typical like run-based offensive scheme, which is why I think they'll score fewer points than one would expect. I think if they get down like 17-3 early, or 17-7, then you might, and then apparently we're going to kick 4 field goals from there. Then it might be kind of hard for them to move the ball like they normally do. So I'll stick with it, 29-17.
Okay, I think that sounds pretty plausible to me. I think I might pick I wanted to pick the Chiefs to break the 30-point mark. And how plausible is that here? I mean, they looked really good on offense, I thought, last week. Not like this week, but they didn't play. But is this the occasion on which to do it? I mean, yeah, let's say. I also want to pick an odd number, like 30. 2, so one more field goal than you're predicting. 32-24. That would be an odd score, but not like totally odd. I think, yeah. Maybe I'm underrating your defense. I feel like they could end up just shutting down more in the second half, at least, the 49ers. But yeah, let's say 32-24 Chiefs. I do like. You can't pick against them at this point, right? They've pulled out, every game this year. So why until they show that they're not up for something, I think you have to assume that they're up for it. So I think
it's also the Chiefs are getting to be on a fairly it should be more notable run of how much we're shutting down run games. We started the year by holding Derrick Henry to 30 some odd yards on 3.5 yards per carry. And I feel so he was 3.5 yards per carry, and he's by far the highest yards per carry of any starting running back since. I think Alvin Kamara was 2.6 or something against us. That's another reason why I feel like we can hold San Francisco to a surprisingly low point total.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe 24 is too high there. Maybe it'll be 17 and then they go, last minute touchdown or something. Make it a little bit more respectable. Okay. Steelers, Jets. I don't know. I just had a really not very good experience on Sunday Night Football at home last week, so I'm not thrilled about doing it again. um, but and honestly, I might change depending on what your take is on the Jets after we talk about them. But uh, they looked respectable. I thought I mean, of course, they got a Hail Mary pass for a touchdown there, which I don't know what to make of that. Is there much actual skill involved in that, or is it just luck that Aaron Rodgers keeps getting these? I mean, maybe we should talk about that when we get there, but I don't know. I think I would not be surprised if we lose that game. The Jets are better than a 2-4 team, I think, and I think we're worse than a 4-2 team. So I might say 24-17 Jets. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because I do think the games are very similar. The Steelers Cowboys and the Jets Steelers. I don't know why I switched the order of the team for the second one. I think those are similar games in that you're playing against teams that look worse on paper or look worse on their record than I think their implied their potential dangerousness is higher than what they've shown this year, and you just never know what version of them you're going to get. I think the Steelers will win this game. I don't, and the main thing is that. So a couple of things I felt from the Jets. I thought Rodgers was actually fairly efficient, but not dangerous. Like he had a couple like really, really accurate throws. Like he was on the money in this game. He didn't miss a lot of throws. It was more just about what was possible, but he doesn't look that mobile. Like if you get pressure on him, he's not running around like even he did in that one Patriots game that I referenced in our last podcast. Like his mobility is just not the same right now, at least. So I think the pass rush will give him trouble. Tyron Smith he's had some really rough reps, and AJ Epinesa beat him around the corner and just like murdered Rodgers a couple times. Once was called for a fairly unfair, in my opinion, roughing the passer penalty. So I think the Steelers D-line is going to make his life really hard. And the other thing that was interesting is they were really selling out to stop the Bills' run game. They just didn't respect the Bills' receivers, and they didn't think they could get off of press coverage. And I think Josh Allen he reminded me so much of Mahomes last year. Like he couldn't get anything on time because his receivers weren't open on time until some parts of the fourth quarter. But he was playing out of structure and making big plays. Like I thought his level of play was actually very high last night. But even doing that, they couldn't really stop the Bills' run game. And any time they went too high, the Bills were getting whatever they wanted on the ground. And I know the Steelers' offensive line is up and down as far as their play because of the number of injuries, but I think you'll be able to run the ball well enough. The Jets defenders also were very handsy. So like someone like Pickens, if he beats, like I'm sure he'll draw a PI call, maybe a non-call, but he'll draw a PI. So I think the Steelers will win. I think I'm going to go with 24-20 Steelers.
No, I would be happy with that. There's a very big difference, I feel like, psychologically between 5-2 and 4-3. I mean, same with 3-3 and 4-2. But 4-3, you're like, I don't even know if we're any good, to be honest. Like we could have snuck our way here. Where 5-2 feels pretty good. So coming out of next week, 5-2 would be nice. And then we play the Giants the week after again at home. So you would have optimism about that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think Rodgers has always been good against us, and I know he's in a new environment and whatnot, and he's older and less mobile. I still feel like he's gonna figure out ways to pick us apart, and that concerns me. I don't know if the offense can keep up. Basically, but we'll see.
Yeah, he was sharp in this game, and ultimately that got kind of lost with the sloppiness and Because, there were 4 missed kicks, 3 field goals, an extra point. There were penalties. I think there were 22 total penalties called in that game. It was rough by the end of it. Like, there were just flags all the time. And sitting in the stadium, it was a little hard to tell, like, the validity of the flags, especially there were a lot of, like, conduct, like unnecessary roughness or PI, and some of those got really hard to tell when you're sitting in the stadium, like, what's actually going on. Mm-hmm. But I think Rodgers, to me, the thing was, like, Rodgers was really sharp, and they needed a Hail Mary to get to 20. And, like, even if they had made those field goals, like, that would have got them to 19. So with, like, how things were going, the team was still struggling.
And we are suddenly back. Sorry for the technical difficulties. This is, I don't know, life in Florida with certain internet infrastructure being what it is, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, so there you have our predictions. I think I was more worried about the Steelers than Ajay was, and more well, no, I think we're roughly equally optimistic about the Chiefs. So, okay.
We had, I guess, for the Chiefs, I said 29-17. You said 32-24, I think.
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
And for the Steelers, I said 24-20 Steelers, and you said 24-17 Jets.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So there you have it. Our reputations are on the line. Everything we value is on the line. So we'll see what happens there. Anything else to say by way of wrap up?
I don't think so. We will be back next week, hopefully after some victories to break down. Yeah. And then, like I said, I do have some other stuff to do for the day job tonight, but if I can get that done quickly, I will complete the Steelers film review from Sunday and put it out tonight or tomorrow morning. Otherwise, it'll be out Wednesday night or Thursday morning. So
it'll be out.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, no rush. Awesome. Okay, cool. Well, take a look at that once it's posted. And thanks again for following along. And hopefully we have some fun games to talk about next week.
All right. Until next time.